Bill Clinton is in the White House. The Dallas Cowboys and Buffalo Bills, I will show no partiality, are headed to Super Bowl 28, which Dallas won. Hero by Mariah Carey is topping the charts. The average American household salary, $37,070. We'll get there again soon. Gas is only $1.09 a gallon, and our guest today, it may have been a kid, but he was making some very powerful friends and would begin this year to chart a course to, can we say wrestling superstardom?
Say whatever you want.
Can we say wrestling political superstardom as well?
Say, of course you can.
It's Shawn Waltman. He's going to take us back to 1994.
I do my best.
Suitable partner for you?
Oh, God, yeah. Are you kidding me?
You were able to go where you wanted to go?
Oh, yeah. He was a fantastic partner. I mean, he really taught me a lot. I learned a lot working with him, being partners with him. I learned a lot about tag team wrestling.
Had you watched him?
Oh, of course. Yeah, of course. I mean, everybody had.
This is a one-week title run.
Right.
How was this proposed to you, and why as a one-week title run?
I think it was just something to. I think it was like part experiment. Because okay, here's the thing. At that point, Vince was, he was already indicted on the federal charges, and he was taking into consideration the fact that he might be incarcerated. So he brought in guys like Bill Watts and Jerry Jarrett, to see how they would do. God forbid Vince had to go to jail for, extended length of time. So this was a Jerry Jarrett idea, according to Jerry.
Just to kind of try you guys out?
Jerry thought he saw something in us, and, it wasn't something that he got behind. An idea that he got behind, coming in, and it worked. I mean, it wasn't, to me, it didn't take a genius to figure out it would work, but. What
could I see, even as Jerry Jarrett, giving you guys 1 week?
I don't know about the 1 week thing. I don't get that part. And this, we lose the titles in the last match. We lost them in the main event. Like, it wasn't the main event, but it was the last match that night at the Garden, so we made the people go home pissed, and we didn't even lose them on TV.
Could it have been a last-minute decision? Or were you told in advance, listen, this is just going to be a quick thing, guys, you're going to have this for a week and then we're going to take it back?
Not really. Like, it was kind of, it wasn't, there was no, definite stamp put on it one way or another. I forget who I was doing it with. It might have been Adam Baum or something. I was doing that spinning head scissors thing that I used to do with Jerry Lynn a lot. And just, a guy wasn't used to doing it. And ended up doing some damage to my medial collateral ligament. And, looking back, it wasn't a huge injury, but at the time I'd never, injured a knee before. So when it went out, that was an odd, really icky feeling.
Were you carted out?
Yeah, I was carted out in a stretcher, and Tony Hom, Ludwig Borga, was hurt that night too. So we both were in the same ambulance on the way to the hospital. We didn't have two ambulances because Ivan Putski commandeered the other one. He figured it was more important that he get a ride back to the hotel.
Ivan Putski?
Yeah, sure. Why not, right? Fuck us. But I do remember, talking with Bret about the whole, angle with Owen and how they, were planning on doing that, and, how they were trying to really, really shine Owen up nice, before he had the title match with Bret, or before he had the Mania match with Bret.
Right. Is he someone that you thought could run with it?
Yeah, but I think I don't think a lot of people thought it was going to do as good as it did, to be honest with you.
Workers or fans?
Maybe the workers.
Because the criticism was that...
Maybe Owen wasn't, a big enough star or whatever. But, obviously he was.
Big enough of popularity or skills?
Skills and, not so much popularity, but at that point he had turned heel anyway, so you don't got to worry as much about getting cheered. It's a lot less stress, man, when you're a fucking heel.
Most people prefer. Right?
Well, especially when you're coming into a place, you don't want to come in as a babyface and have people like half-ass shitting on you,
Is the genesis of this idea entirely Bret's?
That's a good question. I can't remember. I think it was.
Is that maybe why it was met with a little eye rolling too? Oh, okay, so this is who's going to be at the top of the card now, his brother.
It wasn't that. We were happy for Owen.
Okay.
And, it's just like, I just think there was a lot of uncertainties as far as business goes back at that time.
That's true.
Business was soft. We can look back with fond memories on this stuff, but, try being on the road at that time and getting a draw and then no fucking money on your pay when you get your check in the mail. So, it was, we might have been the big time, but we were still struggling. The whole him going up into the
a little bit of silliness.
A little bit, but people got it. It was pushed for back then. It was stretching it, but it was WWF, and
Is this?
I think that was okay. It was the whole Papa Shango and the Ultimate Warrior spewing up shit and all that stuff that was a little over the top.
Pushed it a
for
little
me
too
personally.
Much. Yeah. This is when Mark was taking time off for a baby? Is that what?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
Gunner was already born at that time, I think.
Okay.
But Mark was going through a lot of nagging injuries. He was working through a shit that nobody would even be allowed to work through these days.
Right.
You can't even walk through the curtain to the ring in the shape that Taker, half of us were, back then. Here's the thing. It was obvious that, the powers that be or whatever, how you want to put it, were behind Lex. I don't know, first clue might have been the big fucking boss. In the aircraft carrier.
I went over well.
It was a good, honest effort. I'll say that. And it was just it just wasn't Lex.
That was already 93, though. But
that's true. Yeah.
Why now have
there were still though.
Bret?
Well, here was the deal. They were still, Vince was still, Luger. We want to shove Luger. Meanwhile, the people were saying something different. They wanted Bret. And Luger even, I remember coming back from the ring after they had like a 6-man or a tag match or something, and it was Bret and Luger on the same team. And, Bret does his entrance, and he never did. You never see me go to the corners. Like, everybody obligatory goes to the corners, right? I never did that because I remember Bret telling me everybody does that, and he always just went to the middle of the ropes, right? Raised a hand. It was different. Nobody else, everybody else going to fucking corners. But Luger goes to the corner and yells a big old yell, and you could hear a fucking echo come back, And even Lex acknowledged it when he come back. People have spoken,
Wow.
And, that was when, the title was given to, the championship was given to Bret instead of Lex.
Safe to say his star-making moment?
Yes.
And deservedly so.
I believe so, yeah. Kev was like, when he first came to work for Vince, he was really like not smooth at all. And I mean, it was a motherfucker working with them. Because I had some of his first matches, and they were really cement mixers, man.
All that time as Oz didn't...
oh, fuck me.
Okay.
Whew.
So, okay, well, that brings up a good point then. So now is anyone going, him?
Yeah. Yeah, the smart ones. You fucking, the people tell you, you know, like,
Yeah.
I don't understand sometimes, you know, in our industry, we're so worried about trying to, like, program the people when they're the ones that tell us what they want, you know? And if you just let them tell you what they want, like, it makes it a lot easier for everybody.
So
you
there's
know,
no
instead of trying to
inkling.
shove something down somebody's fucking throat.
Well, that's Vince's tactic, but so there's no inkling on your part or many of the talent's part that this guy can go as far as Kevin did at this point.
Well, within the car, we knew. I just remember Bob was just a quiet guy, you know, and I had known of him, you know, just because back, you know, when you're coming up in the business, it behooves you to be up on, you know, what's going around in the business. So, like, for me, knowledge is power. I always crave knowledge. I always want to know what the fuck was going on, you know, behind the scenes, what the gate was, what the ratings were. Shit, people used to fuck with me about when I first got there, you know. Like, I remember coming in one time and quoting the fucking rating, 3-2 rating we got, you know, and then I was the 3-2 kid for a while. So
back then they didn't even pay attention to the numbers.
No, man. Like, I remember being like one of the first guys to ever bring it up.
That's funny.
Me and Scott, our return match after 6 weeks.
We may have just given birth to that 3-2 kid thing, by the way. Be careful what comes out of your mouth here. Bob would go on, I guess, a little later
what goes into it.
to have more of a reputation as being a guy you didn't want to mess with.
Hard ass.
Hard ass.
That was like
Maybe that was
when I left and came back, he was that Bob Holly.
not coming in.
No, he was smart, Bob Holly, when we were teaming and all that. And he didn't have that hardcore Holly persona yet.
But him as a man. As
a
person.
man, he was always like pretty straight up dude. I thought.
Stiff.
In the ring to work with.
Yeah.
No more than me.
Okay. All right. Very good.
I remember he and I think if you asked him, like, we enjoyed working with each other, you know, in singles matches. You know, I remember they put us on, you know, for our second, like, over in Europe, and then just, you know, like, the agents would just, you know, mark out, like, for us doing a 15-minute, you know, through, right. And, like, it's like, we're not fucking here to, like, entertain you, George Steele. You know, we're here to entertain the fucking people. Like, let's not give them a fucking 15-minute through in the first fucking match. I don't remember why they fired him. I wasn't there, I don't think. Or was
well, this is his fourth time being fired. It wouldn't be his last. Why? He's got 9 lives, at least. Why does Marty resurface all the time throughout the 90s and the zeros?
Because no matter what you say about Marty Jannetty, back then, no matter what, you were always going to have a great match out of him. Even if he just woke up from under the fuck, he could be sleeping under the table 10 minutes prior. Fucking boots not even laced all the way up. I mean, seriously, like, I used to sit and watch him, like, I mean, are you fucking ribbing me? Like, he'd be lacing his boots up and missing, like, 4 fucking, you know, eyelets at a time. Like, how are you getting any ankle support? Of course, look at his ankles now. Yeah. You know.
But that good a worker, and that's why they continued to.
Absolutely. That's the main reason. If you're a good talent, you can get a, you know, I mean, people overlook a lot.
But
trust me,
was
I know.
he troublesome in the way that some of the other boys were troublesome in that he liked to party, or did he have a real personality conflict with management?
I think it was more a partying thing. Mm-hmm. The way I saw it, it was more of a partying thing and a response, you know, being responsible. It was just like, you know, and I know this might sound very hypocritical coming from me, but it was like he was like a kid that wouldn't grow up. You know? Mm-hmm. It's like everybody else progressed.
How about that?
That's pretty fucked up.
Yeah. Did you guys all
The
kind of feel
perception
that way
was-
as well?
I don't know, because there was guys that had dealings with Jim from WCW days and even prior to that maybe had issues with him that I didn't,
Right.
because I always, and I still do, I think the world of Jim.
But is this something that you or somebody who didn't have a problem would come up and say, hey, listen, this, between you and me, it's really fucked what they're doing to you?
Yeah.
What exactly is his relationship with Vince McMahon? You look historically at stuff like this, and then later on, you'd think that's a very strained...
Yeah, it's strange, because like, I remember one time being in the office with Vince, and it was just Vince and Jim. And Jim was sitting there eating a plate of food at the time. And, you know, Vince and I, we were having a disagreement about something. We were debating something. And he was nice enough to, you know, to fucking humor me, you know, by participating in this debate with me.
Okay.
You know, I learned a lot from these debates. Finally, when he told me I was right, was like the last time, you know, I think I was gone after that.
That's the price.
Yeah, exactly. You get over it and finally you're gone. But, where were we?
There's Jim Ross eating, and you're talking to Vince.
Yeah, and Vince has explained to me how sometimes you gotta learn to like the taste of shit. And then he looks over at Jim and he goes, right, Jim? And I remember Jim just going like that, and it was like, fuck.
Like that scene in The Toy where Jackie Gleason makes Ned Beatty drop his pants.
Something like that, yeah.
Where there's a reference I probably will edit out of this. You were often put in with potential hires, and you would kind of come out and give the thumbs up or the thumbs down, right?
They were already hired by then.
Oh, okay. So when someone was,
I never had tryout matches with guys. They were already hired.
So it wasn't people they were considering; they were already. But they would turn to you for your.
It was just on how far they were going to go.
Was this a formal, like, would Vince turn to you for this, or were you just with the other boys saying this?
Both.
Right.
It was just, that was the, and then, I mean, it wasn't planned that way. It just ended up being my position in the company.
And what were you looking for in these guys?
Timing, just the fact that we were on the same page, you know, that they comprehended the, you know, the way a match works, and a lot of it's just the timing aspect of it.
The physical.
Yeah, it's the physical, but it's the, you know, just like, for instance, say like a 1 second pause and something could make all the difference in, you know, how big a reaction you get. You know, things like that.
So it was personality you were gauging?
That too. It was just, you know, it was overall, you know, the whole recipe. And, you know, every recipe is a little different, so, you know. I mean, whenever, like, we talk about something like that, it always goes back to, like, the Shane Douglas thing, you know. Well, you know, I guess, you know, he had his matches with me and they weren't very good. I worked with Shane after that when he was way better than he was when he went to come in for Vince that first time. Or the only time, sorry.
Right. The Dean Douglas.
Yeah, well, and now, you know, he had some shit working against him. That was one of them. That gimmick was brutal. I mean, fucking rotten. And, you know, you do the best with what you're given, but, I mean, come on.
But the physical was off, too.
Yeah. And he was, like, you know, pretty high impact, you know. We're performing at a pretty high level. And, you know, you got to be ready to go back then.
Was the original plan to have Luger win the title, or is this to confuse fans and newsletters?
I don't know for sure. I'm going to take a guess that I think they were just like doing
covering
a
their
market
ass
study.
in case
I think they were trying to figure, you know, they were just seeing how the people were going to react to it in that particular town, you know.
Is there talk about this in the locker room? Can't imagine there wouldn't be. at the
Yeah,
time.
because I mean, it was like, first Vince got, charged, and then it was a few months later, and there's that with Jerry. It was like PR-wise, it was a really tough time
Is this something
for the industry.
King had a reputation for? Like a well-known, when you pass an 11-year-old girl at the guardrail, say, "Oh, there's Jerry's fans," or did this catch people off guard?
It didn't seem like it caught anybody off guard. But I mean, there's always stories that go around about people, That's all they are, stories, until you actually
Are in court.
Or in court, or fucking or witness to something,
Were you witness to anything?
Never, no.
Mel Phillips with the feet. Were you witness? That was
He wasn't
you.
around.
That was before you.
No.
Okay. Were you ever hurt by him, first of all?
Never hurt, but I was roughed up a couple of times, just because he's so huge.
I was going to say, he was not malicious, right? It was just that it was impossible.
No, it was just like he was doing things that he hadn't realized yet that you can't do to guys, that are working full time.
Right.
I remember when he dropped on Kevin's back in fucking Pittsburgh. Oh my God, I can't believe he didn't get fired. It was all, because Kevin didn't, Kevin was like, no, don't fire him, but because he told him before, don't fucking do that
That's right.
move.
He told us about that. Yeah, that was
Did
in his
anyways.
timeline. I could give
From
a
the
shit about
Wapaho
that,
tribe?
but yeah, that went over big. But I want to talk about the Chief, because you mentioned some agents before, and Chief is sometimes one that we hear about being unpopular with wrestlers.
Yeah, except for me and my friends, we like Chief.
So why does he get?
Because he was a hard ass. He was a hard ass. And if if you were acting a fool or acting up, like, he taught me a lot. He tried to talk sense into me when I first got there, but I was still too worried about amusing the boys and fitting in and shit like that.
What was he telling you?
It's just like,
Take
this
it more
isn't show
seriously?
friends, it's show business, or, different little one-liners, or, he'd pull me aside and say, look, Trailer, he called me Trailer because I was always the last guy to get to the building, like the caboose, He's like, Trailer, when you're at home hurt, how many of these guys think I'm gonna call you? He'd always be telling me shit like that, And our Chief was a wise man. Wise guy, and he took a liking to me when he found out I was a Malenko guy. Because Malenko, Dean's father, really helped Chief out a lot early on.
Talk about these joint shows. Are you paid similar to what you'd get at a WWF show?
Got paid dog shit.
Right.
I remember getting like $200. I'm like, fucking ribbing me?
So when you're told you're going to work Smoky Mountain, this is nothing you're
It's
happy about.
Yeah, you're basically told, you're going down there to work for free. Fucking like it, bitch.
And this is just so they could get some new names from Smoky Mountain on television?
Yeah. Yeah, it was awesome.
Do you guys like these meet and greets before, or is it, you're not being paid extra for this, right?
I don't recollect getting paid the extra.
So
that was just shit that was expected of you. There were certain things that just expected from talent.
Is the payday big enough for WrestleMania that you just
at that point, at that position, even though I was figured in politically and shit like that, still I was so new. I was still on the bottom end of the pay scale then. So.
ultimately was the decision made to go with him over Lex? Does it go back to what you said? It was entirely decided by the audience?
That and the boys. I think pretty much the boys had kind of come to the conclusion from, what, mind you, we're the ones that are making all the towns, so nobody knows better than us,
Would Vince solicit your opinions?
Sure. And even if he didn't, we'd give them to him anyways. That was a nice thing about having Shawn with us.
You could grab his ear and say, listen, we think that. Would it be as blunt as we think he should get the push? Or was it more subtle? Like, how do you approach a Vince McMahon and tell him how to do his job?
Fuck. We left Shawn to that.
Oh, so you'd put it in Shawn's ear and Shawn.
Sure. Why not? I mean, because everybody can't talk at once.
Right.
I just get on what he said.
Right. Is it thought that this perhaps would be an all-time classic beforehand? I mean, are they really making a commitment to make this hot, or was this just something these guys could go out and do whenever they wanted?
Both. That wasn't even nearly the best ladder match they ever had. There were matches that weren't ever taped on house shows that would blow that fucking match away, believe it or not.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
What was it about these two that made that match so special? Could it have happened with him and Owen? With
not
Razor
that.
and Owen?
I mean, it would be different, obviously, because you're talking about different people, but it would still be, comparably successful, I think.
So you mentioned the Bond. How much of it do you think was that?
Tons, because, okay, for instance, one of the best matches, maybe top 3 matches I've ever had in my life were Scott and I versus Shawn and Kevin as Diesel.
Right.
Very first Action Zone main event. It was taped in White Plains, Arnie Scolin's old building, and we were the last match of the night. 4 hours of fucking tapings, right? And the people were dead, and we got them right back. They were fucking on fire by the end of that match.
And again, it's the friendship. It's the being able to speak in shorthand and knowing what the other guy is going to do. Are they going over this? Are they doing a lot of pre-planning for this, for the ladder match?
Just experimenting with different spots, things like that.
Go into the ring before a card begins and try stuff with the ladder?
No.
No?
No. Very rarely. I don't ever remember that. It was just come up with it and do it. You don't fucking practice shit like that beforehand.
Well, but with a
don't do
with
it.
a ladder, though, it doesn't.
I don't care, man. You
element?
don't risk, getting hurt right before a fucking. Because I remember Hunter and Vince many years later, going over some shit, and they were climbing up this. It was in Minneapolis, is why I know it so well. They were climbing up this ladder together, and they were practicing taking this bump off the ladder together, and Vince falls right on fucking Hunter's knee, and big old cloudy Vince, at the time he's all jacked up, landed right on it. And Hunter was fucked. His knee was fucked. He needed surgery after that, and he still went out there and had a hell of a match.
You think Vince would know better? You still get paid?
10 grand.
Okay, so what ran long that night, or did they just
the ladder match?
Were you being facetious when you said you were heartbroken, or?
No, I was heartbroken. It was my first fucking WrestleMania.
Right. Okay.
Who
tells you? Do you remember?
No, we found out just by being on deck and not fucking going.
And your name is just never called. No one comes and says, "Guys, we got to skip you tonight."
Well, not really. I don't remember. It was just like. Remember that? Sorry.
Celebrities that were in attendance. bring up
Cy Sperling.
Yes,
the fucking
we'll
hair
get
club
to
for
him.
men guy.
Anything interesting or any funny anecdote?
Terrible joke teller.
We'll start with him.
Fucking
then.
Burt Reynolds, fucking whiskey nose, rocking the house. He was so fucking drunk or something when he went in the ring.
Did you have any one-on-one with Burt, or he was just around?
Well, we took pictures and bullshitted, you know. Right. He's a Seminole FSU guy.
That's true. Did he get it? You know, some celebrities get it, and sometimes they're above it all.
He got it kind of like Captain Kirk got it, you know.
Another one that I thought who told us, was it Diesel or whoever did that maybe there was something on the breath. Throughout the,
sure.
Okay. Little
but
Richard.
That wasn't really that uncommon,
no,
you know, back then. Captain Lou running around.
True. Little Richard.
Oh, that's right. Because I got a picture with Little Richard. Yeah.
He must have got it. He must have been in his glory.
In more ways than one. Anyway, boom. Yeah, it was cool. Meet Little Richard. Who else?
Jenny
Rhonda
Garth.
Shear. Oh,
Jenny Garth.
Jenny Garth. Yeah.
Of 90210 fame. Donnie Wahlberg.
Yeah, little brother of Mark.
Some Bill Clinton impersonator, right?
It was a pretty good one too, if I remember correctly. And didn't we have the Jennifer Flowers? Or was that the next WrestleMania?
Wasn't this year. No. Rhonda Shear you had, though.
Up all night.
Did you have Rhonda Shear?
No.
I had Rhonda Shear.
She wasn't my cup of tea. She was already a little long in the tooth for me.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
You were very young, I forget
I
this.
was. Used to rib him so bad.
I was going to say, was he the whipping boy?
Oh, yeah. Just not, ridiculous. Some guys didn't like him for some reason. I never had a problem. I always liked Howard, you know. But some guys did, I don't know, I think he might have gotten on their nerves or something, but I always loved Howard, you know. Just his love for wrestling.
His position there.
They used to fucking rib him, Shawn. They'd have him and Bruno cut promos for WrestleMania, and they wouldn't even be taping them. Fucking imagine that, sitting there laughing and fucking busting their gut, laughing at these guys, and they're all in their serious fucking cutting promos. You know, they think it's the biggest time of their life, right? And nothing.
Just because nobody was taking it seriously, right? Except them.
That was just how, you know, it's funny what amuses you at different times in your life, you know, depending on what's going on in your life.
Right.
That kind of dictates the darkness of your fucking humor or whatever.
But at the time, this was funny to you?
It was just, yes, it was just fucking wow, you know.
What was Howard's position there through the years? He was the ring announcer who was on camera. But what were his backstage responsibilities?
I don't know, but I think he was the guy that was telling everybody what was in the dirt sheets, and I think he kept an eye on you know. He was an information guy.
Communicated the outside world.
Yeah, sort of.
The inside.
Sort of. I remember, first coming in, first time I came in for Raw, you know, when I shot the deal with... Actually, it wasn't then, because that was when Kurt threw Shawn through the window of the car. Mm. That was Howard's car that he just got fucking the day before. And they fucked it all up.
What brings this about?
Just bringing back, you know, classics.
With
probably somebody would be asking, what's that about if they bring me around these days, you know?
Can you be as entertaining in the locker room as Lou Albano?
Yeah, just in different ways. You know, Lou would come in, and I thought Lou was the funniest fucking guy in the world for about 2 weeks. Until, he told me the fucking penguin joke for about the 20th time. Or, you know, it was the same fucking anecdotal shit. If you were around long enough, you hit the loop, you know?
So I was just going to say...
Hey, did you get your tickets, get your money?
What is that?
He'd always come in, get your money, get your tickets. I didn't know it was your fucking job, you know, to tell us to go get our money from Arnie.
Well, he was being like the Papa Bear, right?
He was charged. He was always a little bit lit, you know.
Yeah, yeah. Great
and
stories
they always
about
put up with them, you know.
He what?
They always put up with them.
Right. Well, that was
even
the thing.
going back to Vince Sr.
A leftover from Vince Sr. So I think what they say is that that was kind of one of those few requests that Vince Sr. made to Junior was there's some people
Makes
that you
sense.
should take care of. True.
Sure.
Shawn had a lot of nagging injuries.
Yeah, he did.
Kevin would tell us. Usually right around summer.
Summer.
Yeah. So here we are in April.
Sid would go fucking play softball.
Right. Right. What about this segment and Michaels as a host of the Heartbreak Hotel?
I think it capitalizes on his, you know, arrogance and, you know, persona at the time. It's a good segment.
So
you know?
Okay, so you were looked at it
Yeah, I was,
positively.
fuck yeah.
Oh, you privy to McMahon's reaction to the lawsuit at any point throughout?
No, but the attorney that represented Jesse was my attorney. So later was my attorney after I got Barry Bloom. For the agent, like, you know, he turned me on to David Olson, who was the attorney in Minneapolis, which is where I lived. So it made sense that I used him. Except for, the thing is when I went to go back after Bischoff fired me, they wouldn't deal with David because of past animosity. Then when fucking Jesse became governor, next thing you know, everybody's asshole buddies and fucking friends, and next thing you know, Barry Bloom and fucking David Olson are at the shows and fucking, you know, everything's all fine.
That's the sole reason Vince would ever deal with Jesse again, right? Is because he became a figure beyond wrestling and therefore even more valuable than wrestling could make.
Sure.
How come nobody else sued for this? He wasn't the only one.
Probably, it takes a lot of resources to go against a fucking machine like that, you know. And maybe other people didn't have as much of a case as Jesse did.
Because he was on color for all the matches.
Yeah, that's what most of it was about.
Right. But you don't ever hear Vince uttering any kind of like,
yeah,
don't mention.
I remember, yeah, because Jesse told me, because we were at the gym, and he told me, like, he called one time, and the only thing that fucking Vince was so, he couldn't get over the money thing. That's my fucking money, more or less, is what he told Jesse. This was before he became governor.
The settlement. He would say to him, "That's my money."
That's my fucking money.
You were never given a dictate. Don't ever utter the name Ventura around me again.
No, never.
Okay.
He would never do anything like that. He would never say anything like that.
Vince.
Never.
Why? Because it shows weakness, or
Yes.
it shows you got to him a little bit.
Yes.
Right.
It was just a sad, you know, thing. The guy wasn't qualified to be in the ring, you know.
But with these size payouts that the company's making, you already said your checks are slim. Now you're seeing this stuff. Is the writing on the wall? Are you guys sending out the proverbial resume, making other calls?
No, we never thought about that. We never thought about leaving.
Really?
No. No, we were fucking, you know, we were in it for the, you know, we signed up for the long haul, you know. That was the way we felt. You know, I was like, you know, I went out and met with Barry Bloom to talk about doing movies, not to talk about jumping to a different wrestling company. I'd never even thought of it.
At this point, April 30th, are you guys all friends?
Oh, yeah.
Any resentment from Shawn or Razor that Diesel's getting?
No. No.
So you guys are all
Matter of fact,
close.
we were trying to make sure, you know, he had the best run possible. Which, I mean, we would try to make sure, regardless of who it is, but it does, you know, mean more when it's your friend.
Right.
That was where I thought I was going to make my money. And I had an established name there. I think most of the guys didn't know what to do out there in front of the Japanese crowd, because even though you're bringing the show to them, like, there still are certain things about the Japanese crowd where you kind of got to cater to them specifically. If you really want the best reaction, you know, out of your matches.
Did you school anybody on that stuff before?
I tried to, but it's kind of hard. Nobody. And then if you watch any of the video footage of the shows, you can tell, like, I was rocking it every fucking night. Matter of fact, I had a match with Martel the first night, and besides being blown up, like, we had a hell of a match. They wanted it to be a DQ, and you know how Japan is with fucking DQ finishes. Right. I'm like, no, that's Rick Martel, former world champion, Boston Crab, you know? That's what the people, you know, they wanted to see, so.
Did the fans, with so few people on the card knowing how to work that style for those fans, did they walk away disappointed?
No, they were happy.
Because they
had Bret Hart, who was a world champion. Right. You know, that was the thing. And Tenryu was on the shows. And that was where I got to work with Hakushi and
right. Well, when you're working with Shinzaki, right. When you're working with the native guys, is it? I mean, are you getting
huge? Yeah. Best fucking reaction of the show, except for maybe Undertaker.
Are they clamoring over each other to work with you in front of the Japanese crowd, as opposed to being with someone?
No, they were because I was going to work with who I was going to work with. I mean, it was already. You know, and I wasn't that high up on the card where it fucking really mattered, to be honest.
But I mean, over there, though, agents wouldn't give deference to you.
They didn't know any better. I had to kind of school everybody as how to do things over there. It's like, as far as like doing jobs and, you know.
Who goes over with you, agent or company, office?
J.J. Dillon was there, remember? Because Owen and I kept him up all night, fucking with him, you know, ribbing him.
Does Vince go over?
No.
Too much trouble back home.
Maybe,
Can't get out of the States. They want to keep an eye on him. Is there anyone more laid back than Don Morocco?
Moroccanese? Is that what they used to call his language?
Oh, I've never heard that. I didn't really get to know Morocco like I would have loved to, because I always heard secondhand stories from like Kurt Hennig, and you know, Don was a really brilliant guy. Like, there was a Kliq before the Kliq, like Adrian Adonis, Piper, fucking who am I missing? Okay. Well,
anyways,
it would be Piper, Adonis, Orton,
Morocco.
Yeah. Who else?
Yeah, those guys that were on top.
Yeah.
So imagine fucking that.
Yeah. So talk to me about Hawaii working.
I remember we stopped from Japan. We stopped off in Guam. We had a show in Guam. Got to meet one of Samu's many wives. Sorry.
Are the fans more closely, behaviorally, more closely related to, and what they expect from you, to Japanese fans or
USA
fans? U.S. fans.
Yeah. As soon as we stepped out of Japan, it was USA.
Gotcha.
So. But I just remember that Bret and I ended up hanging out in Hawaii. That we stayed an extra day, and almost got fined, because if we would have missed our flight, we would have been fucked, and the LA show would have been screwed, because it was Bret and I. You know, Bret was the main event, and I was like fairly high up on the card.
Right.
And we made it in time and everything. And Jack Lanza wanted to find me, but he couldn't, because I made it on time.
Right.
So
Jack Lanza's another name we hear sometimes that wasn't as popular.
He wasn't me, a Minnesota guy, you know. But yeah, that's right. I just, you know what?
Maybe it's the
certain
job
guys
of
are treated different, you know.
Well, not only that, but that's the designated bad guy, the agent, isn't it?
Sure. And if you're higher up on the card, you're going to get fucking treated a little bit different than the guy jerking the curtain. Right. Sorry, it's just the fucking way it is.
Do you know this to be the case?
Yeah. And that's just that fucking, you know, the mentality of guys like, oh, can't do a job, fucking, oh. And I love Hacksaw, but he was like that when I went to WCW. And he fucking stiffed the fuck out of me because he was mad about doing a job for me.
Really?
Yeah, and it was lame because he couldn't even really tell, you know? Like, I was the only one that could feel it. Like, really? Like, I didn't do anything to you.
Right.
Sorry, you know?
But Earthquake.
Guys are so fucking, such marks about doing a fucking job.
But shouldn't it be in relation to where you are working on?
Yeah,
the part?
unless you're
I understand the
fucking-
guy saying, I'm going to get a run. I don't want to do this on TV now. But, I mean, John Tent, Hacksaw Duggan in WCW, it's just all ego.
Yeah. But, you know, that comes from somewhere, you know. It's, you know, a guy doesn't continue to act like that unless it's, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? Unless it's fucking encouraged.
Some psychologists might say that maybe this is Vince acting out a bit of a fantasy role and sending a subtle message to wrestlers. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's pretty good.
Is he known to have a little fun?
Sure,
with
of course
his
he is.
creative decisions.
Yeah.
Sending a message.
Yeah, and if
Maybe
he
red
knows,
roosters
you
and
feel
polka
this
dots.
way, then yeah.
So it had nothing to do with Nikolai, but maybe more to do with amusing you guys, or
I wasn't too fucking amused because I had to work with him on the road.
Nikolai, you mean?
Yeah,
Talk to us
I
about
wanted to
that.
fucking shoot myself in the fucking head after that loop.
Because of the work, or
Yeah,
because of traveling with
the
him?
work.
Oh.
It was so fucking rotten. And I love him. He's a really nice guy.
Right. But for your style.
Fucking awful. I remember George Steele telling him they wanted me to give him a gut wrench suplex one night. Oh my God, you should have seen the look on his fucking face. I dare you to take a fucking bump.
How much did you have to work with him?
Enough.
Yeah.
Fuck, man. I don't know if I can really, in words, explain to you how fucking taxing that was on me mentally.
Yeah. Nice man, though. Let's read it.
Very nice. Yeah, but that's what we always say about somebody before we bury him.
Right.
Hell of a fucking guy. Oh
but
my
Jesus
God, that
Christ.
guy's a fucking shit.
Oh my God, the gut wrench. Is anyone thinking that this is a good idea?
Vince?
Right. Why? He's Vince
Because
McMahon.
that was that time. You know, obviously everybody had a secondary fucking occupation.
But I think
You know,
Kinda
Spark
coming
Plug
out of
Holly,
that
the
now.
dumpster. I mean,
Yes.
it was just God. It was people that fucking that mindset, and it was like, God, it was so hard to break everybody out of that. We had to leave.
Did Mike, was he like, oh shit, I gotta do this? Or was he just happy to have the job?
Josie?
Yeah.
He's just happy to have a job.
Right.
Yeah. Because, you know, like, I mean, it was a fucking tough time in the industry.
Do you recall it?
Of course, like it was yesterday.
What reaction do they get from manager? Are they impressed? Are you
No,
ever impressed with
no.
enhancement talent?
I just think they were so short-sighted. You know, like they couldn't see the fucking, you know, I don't know.
I want to say
I don't
that-
understand why obviously, like, I think that just the people that his job was to eye the talent or spot the good talent, I mean, they were just
Who would that be?
incompetent at their job. I don't know.
Was it Patterson
No,
at this point? Or,
I don't think so. I mean, just because the agents on the road were the ones that were given the reports and everything, you know.
Do you remember them back then? Were they quiet? Were they respectful? Were they excited?
They were very quiet, and they, honestly, I remember locking up with Jeff and going, this fucking guy has never had a match in his fucking life. I had to put him in and out of holds. But he could do the spots fine, but he couldn't wrestle at all. Not one fucking bit.
Was it one of the Hardys that, I think Kevin might have told us, Scott
Vanilla
did
Ice.
the TV, was it?
Vanilla Ice, that was our nickname for Jeff.
Oh. That Scott got out of the ring with one of them after an enhancement and went and said to, and gave the kid, gave whoever it was a lot of offense, and said to the agent, you know, you should remember that guy, just as an enhancement talent.
Just as a future star.
I'm saying as he was at that time an enhancement talent and gave him offense on his own because you could tell when he was in the ring.
I let him miss the moonsault shit. Like, they were just happy to be able to show a little talent.
Right.
I do remember, I don't mean to interrupt you, but I do remember my match with Jeff. I tried this different finish out. It was like a Indian deathlock fucking front face lock, or not front face lock, double underhook. And it was just the flattest fucking finish, like, you know.
Bell rang and that was it?
Yeah. And I remember getting back and JJ telling me, oh, that finish was flat. And I'm like, yeah, I felt it. I learned a lot. James Dudley, the original bad Leroy Brown. He was like he was the first guy, first black man to ever run a arena. And you know, him and Vince's dad were tight, and you know, Vince Senior was partners with Dudley in Washington, D.C. and Baltimore area, and he honored that, and Vince honored that until the day James died.
James would run the Cap Center and
Baltimore, Landover, shit like that, you know. And he was so old, he couldn't even, when he accepted his award, like, he was so, like, feeble and decrepit, like, he could barely get the words out, and, like, he broke into tears. It was like, you know, it might not have been a big deal for, you know, the fans that had no idea who the hell that was, but it was a big deal, I could tell, for Vince, and in turn, it was a big deal for me, because I'm a historian of the business, you know.
Describe the ceremony. Now it's a huge show.
And by the way, you know, Vince would we'd show up to Washington, and Vince would have a new fucking car waiting for James Dudley. He'd do shit like that for James just so his family wouldn't fucking, you know, if he sent him money or something, the family would take it. So
the son is honoring Vince Senior's.
Yeah, still took care of him. I remember one time, bless his heart, he sat in the backstage area just full of piss. He had pissed himself. I feel bad even telling that story. You know, I mean, and they made sure to take care of him and make sure he had dignity, and, you know, that's the kind of shit I respected out of Vince.
Did they make it a point to let the other wrestlers know who it was and to
sorta? I mean, at the Hall of Fame they did, but it wasn't like, hey, look at me, I'm taking care of this guy. It wasn't like Vince was trying to get a pat on the back.
No, but to let the other guys know that this is someone who's very important.
Yeah.
To look after him.
Yeah.
Talk about the ceremony. Now it's a huge show and everything, but back then it's at a hotel. Is there? I don't even know if it's probably not televised. Not even televised, but videotaped, right?
Yeah, it was video.
It was.
Yeah. It was my first time I ever wore anything like a suit. You know, like it was a coat and pants ensemble, and I didn't even know better, like, to take the fucking tag off of the jacket. So I show up, you know, and I'm fucking, you know, got the tie on and everything. I got this fucking tag still stuck on the jacket. You know, it's kind of embarrassing.
Some PA run over and clip it off for you? Or
something like that.
The rib to leave Shawn with his...
and then I remember Bret did a keynote speech, and he put me over huge, like, talking about young guys coming up, and then he, like, specifically mentioned me. So Bret's giving a speech, right? And he's, like, over the top, putting me over in the speech, right? And so we're getting toward the end of the speech, and fucking Lanza or somebody goes, when he's done, everybody stand up, give him a standing ovation. I'm like, okay. And so then he's finished with the speech. Boom, I'm up, yeah. Everybody's sitting there. I'm like, motherfuckers.
Excellent.
They're all laughing their ass off.
I hope that is on video somewhere.
It is somewhere.
Talk about him coming in and being given this gimmick. Do you guys think it's going to go over?
We were hoping. We were all behind it, you know.
They were friendly, right? I think he was in his wedding party. And So Mark makes the suggestion to use Brian?
I think that's how, excuse me. I think that's how it went, yeah.
First of all, do any of you know in advance this is about to happen?
No.
Big deal. It is a big deal.
Yeah, but I mean, honestly, we're hoping, I guess, maybe that it went well. But we were kind of caught up in the brainwashing, you know, indoctrinated into the WWF universe or whatever. Like, you know, you kind of get caught up in that, you know, to where, you know, you feel this sense of loyalty, and it's very mob-like, I guess.
Well, yeah, but this name, but the Hogan name had not been, I mean, of course, he worked for Vern, but had been so closely associated with WWF for so long. Vince sees this as a slap in the face, no doubt.
I'm sure.
Is he vocal about it?
No, it's weird because, like, I mean, he wasn't vocal about much, except for just when word started getting around, like, okay, that maybe, you know, they're throwing money around and they want, you know. I remember Vince specifically having a meeting telling us, none of you's for fucking going anywhere.
Meaning?
You're not going anywhere.
Meaning I'll pay you enough to...
No, meaning fucking you're not going anywhere. Like, take it for however you want to take it.
Very mob-like, as you said.
Yeah. You can't. I remember Jack Lanza wasn't even allowed to talk to Bobby Heenan. Longtime friends, lifelong friends.
When Bobby was announcing all
That's
that,
right.
Yeah. Do any of you feel that this will make WCW more competitive again? Or again, are you just in a bubble and you're not even really paying attention?
Sort of a bubble.
Yeah.
You know, I was probably the one that was most informed out of anybody. And I just kind of remember, I don't know, like I should have wanted it to succeed, but I remember being very WWF-ish in my mindset and, like, you know, fuck them.
Right.
Kinda.
You're on the team. So
That's right.
Yeah. Now, you, of course, would fit into that mold, but here's a federation who still has, you know, Luger, Razor, Lawler. Well, no, Razor was probably young. Not much younger than Hogan. Was this a mockery, or was this a serious attempt to position the company?
Serious attempt,
yeah.
Absolutely. And I thought it did fine for, you know, for its place in history to get from one point to the next, you know. How much does that kid weigh?
Here we are. We should probably mention Art Donovan, while we're here. Do you remember at the time it being, well, you're not watching the broadcast, are you?
I was watching a lot of it and going, what the fuck is that?
Really? So even there,
Oh
people
my
are
God.
going, Jesus. Ooh.
Yeah. It was fucking, what a disaster that was.
When we covered this on Wrestling's Most Botched, available at kayfabecommentaries.com, people often talked about Randy Savage, who had to be on the headset with him, being rather upset.
It's kind of hard to tell with Randy, though, because he always had the same, you know, expression and same kind of sound of the tone of his voice. And so, but I can just imagine, like, as a commentator trying to keep shit on course and, you know, going in the right direction and having to fucking bring Art Donovan back and, you know.
Safe to say this was the first and last time Art Donovan did commentary? Or
First and last time, I think, really any guest pay-per-view
football
commentator,
player,
as far as I can remember.
your participation in the tournament and your matches against Jarrett and Owen, where do you scale them?
As far as what?
As far as the talent you were in there with, Jeff Jarrett and...
Fucking great.
Yeah.
You know, as far as just that particular night, like Jeff was my first match. I mean, and that was a nice solid match, like, but I just still saved something for Owen, you know? And Owen was the guy getting the push that night. And so I went out, and Bret, his brother, told me, obviously, Owen's brother, told me that was the best match he'd ever seen of that, given that length of time we had.
Wow.
Yeah. That's a hell of a fucking compliment, you know?
You mentioned something interesting. You said, you know, going out, I have to save something for Owen. When you have to work multiple times in the same night in a tournament style thing like that, are guys conscious of that you have to save some of your offense for, and not repeat?
Guys that were smart enough, you know? But...
It's nothing you're told to do by an
No.
agent. Like don't do the finish now because we want to see that later.
No. That was all shit. Like, honestly, a lot of the agent stuff, they would tell us what we did wrong after the fact. Which is easy as fuck to do that.
Right.
Like, you know, I can sit and do that all day long. But
Would you ever, you have any desire to road agent?
I wouldn't want to put a label on it, but I mean, I would be open to it.
So his not wanting to go all the way with this. Do you remember this? Where he wasn't making the appearances?
Yeah.
He was just sending videotape?
Yeah, but I had no idea that the buy rate was that bad.
Sabotaging his own return?
Not purposely.
Foolishly.
Yeah.
Roddy Piper, shouldn't you know better?
You would think, but, you know, then again...
Vince McMahon, shouldn't you remind Roddy Piper that you know better?
Maybe Vince assumed.
Or too busy with the courts?
Maybe.
Papa's away. Busy with other stuff. Couple of appearances and then gone. Do you know why? Any additional details about the gimmick? We just know nothing. We never hear about this.
Actually, I think I know. I do have a good idea why, but like it's not something that honestly, like, as much as like I'm open in these kind of situations, that's something I'd probably...
Okay, well, I'll probe. Is it illegal? A legal thing?
I don't know. Yeah, I honestly, like, I'm pretty good about that type of stuff, but like, I don't want to...
Okay. Involving one of the three?
Yeah.
Fonzie, Ricky, or... Okay. We have a mission now. June 22nd.
It's not that big a deal, man. It's just like, these are guys that I know, and I'm not...
When it's the forbidden fruit, it's always a big deal.
Well, you're not getting any more out of me on that.
No, not you. We'll find it. June 22nd. Write us. WWF recently put a ban on violent acts such as eye gouging, two-handed choke, crotch shots, use of foreign objects, which would be tables, chairs, flagpoles, anything, tennis rackets, and also physical threats on interviews, such as threatening to break someone's arm. Razor was even told to stop flicking the toothbrush. Toothbrush, yes, he brushed his teeth. The toothpick. Talk about this this is professional wrestling. This is absolute paranoia now.
Oh, I know. It was like, are you fucking ribbing me? You know, why don't you just fucking handcuff my hands behind my back and fucking shackle my feet?
Are you expected to produce a wrestling program with none of this?
Yeah. Not only that, but SummerSlam, Scott and Shawn are expected to go out and have the sequel to the fucking ladder match with those fucking constraints. We fucking, like, collectively sat and did we fucking pulled our hair out putting that match together.
Yeah, Kevin told us about it. But all the guys must just sit there like, what do you want us to do?
Right. And a lot of the guys were there. They didn't want to fucking rock the boat. They just, you know, they didn't know any better. A lot of the guys in the company then weren't really that fucking good.
Does Vince say anything to you personally? Is this a memo that comes? How are you guys told what your restrictions are going to be? How do you find out?
Well,
You can't flick a toothpick.
it was just basically verbalized to Shawn and Kev.
And it just disseminates through the rest of you?
Our little group.
Right.
Five,
Well, but everyone's
four.
told that you have to.
Yeah, but we're told in different ways.
Maybe you guys are allowed to do a little more?
Maybe.
Okay.
Or
Gotcha.
maybe we can, not allowed to, but do it anyways, and fucking, what are you going to do about it?
Right. Is this again a result of the upcoming trial? Vince may be going away. It's all going to crumble.
Everything was like kind of weird. Like I remember they brought in this fucking, I was going to say cunt, but Lisa Wolf.
Lisa Wolf.
Yeah.
I think Nash might have said that word in reference to her.
Fucking, she hated every other fucking woman that walked the face of the earth.
She came from the NFL? Is this
Supposedly.
Yeah. Oh.
She brought a lot of fucking negative shit onto that company. She brought some fucking jabroni named Osbear de Ars. Yeah, Worldwide Properties or something that the guy's company was. It's like to do merchandise. The guy ended up fucking us huge. Like I found all this out from Ann. That used to work, used to basically run the fucking, Ann Russo used to run that fucking show.
What was Basil DeVito?
I can't remember what his exact title was. I just remember him being
It says company
financial
vice president,
officer or
but
some shit.
You're never dealing on one with Basil. And this Ann Bojack.
No.
Is Vince now? Vince is never selling the fact that the rats are abandoning the ship.
No, except for that meeting that he told everybody, "You're not going anywhere."
Right.
I'm paraphrasing, mind you. I mean, but like that was the gist of it.
Is he telling you, listen, you may be working with Jerry Jarrett for a little while, or
No.
doesn't make?
Oh, you talking about like bringing Watts and Jerry?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, he never actually told anybody why they were there or anything like that.
Well, on July
Bill Watts
2nd,
actually sat in the crowd at Madison Square Garden before anybody knew he was going to be working there, just so he could get give an honest evaluation of the talent without them knowing.
Seeing.
Yeah, that's why he liked me, because I had that night I had Hunter's very first match he ever had in the Garden.
What did you think of Bill?
I mean, there are certain things that are, negatives about Bill that everybody is, I think that knew him has brought up in the past, but he liked me because I was a Malenko Gotch disciple, and I could go real, I wasn't just high flyer. I could wrestle and.
Who would have served the company better, Jerry or Bill?
Probably Jerry overall, but like booking wise, Bill was the better booker. But I think that
The total business.
yes, yeah, I think he's better off with Jerry.
He was in Jersey, right? Coming back
From Baltimore, going to
from
Newark
Baltimore, right?
after a long fucking tour.
And he was 31 years old.
Yeah.
Do you remember getting the news?
Yeah. I never had any, that was my first person I knew that died,
In the business.
in the business, yeah. Well, except for one of my teachers, Masami Soranaka, Carl Gotch's son-in-law, he died of a brain tumor. But other than that, that was my first kind of taste of death, as far as, my compadres go, so.
Was Joey well liked by him?
Yeah.
Was he a partier?
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah,
contributed to
no,
the... No?
I don't think so. No.
What about Gorilla's reaction? It's been said that this is where he lost his steam.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I remember amongst boys, really, there being criticism on the company for putting us through that much. you know,
Travel.
Yeah. Like, fucking these guys would have had, you know, proper rest, like that wouldn't have happened. It's kind of unfair to say. Of course, you know, when something awful like that happens, you're searching for reasons why, or, you know, you say things that maybe aren't, you know, fair, or
Is it Gorilla saying these things?
No. It may have been, but I just remember that being the talk amongst the talent.
Do you remember the air kind of coming out of Gorilla at this point? I mean, is it?
Yeah, totally.
Is it a decline from here on?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yep. Almost like you could see it right from that fucking point on. It would just start to melt away.
A, do you think Titan Sports or Vince McMahon had any responsibility for distribution of steroids?
Absolutely not.
Okay. Do you think that by suggestion they were ever guilty of this in so much? Has anyone said to you, you know, it'd be good if those arms were a little bigger, anything like that?
Nope. But you look at who's being pushed and why, and you know, you come up with your own conclusions on what you got to do.
Right.
You know.
So definitely not guilty of overtly
Absolutely
doing
not.
anything. Nature of the business kind of
yes,
thing.
Absolutely. I get really like, okay, mind you, like as the #1 promoter in our industry, like he's going to end up, you know, bearing some of the responsibility for things, you know. I mean, obviously, but that was just totally unfair. It was bullshit, fucking witch hunt.
Is he any different after the acquittal?
Yeah, it was like kind of like, you know.
Does he talk about it at all? Are you free to come up to him?
Well,
and say,
to us, like, because
congratulations?
we just happened to be at the same fucking late night diner, all fucked up together that night after the verdict came down. So it was, you know, a little party that night.
And what does he say? Does he ever admit to being afraid of really going away?
No, he's afraid of. He admitted to being deathly afraid of all the people that were dependent on him as an employer, of you know, not being there for them. Like, I mean, he was legitimately concerned about his employees and what was going to happen to, you know, to his company.
Do you remember the diner?
Talking about that night after?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Which city?
It was like Columbus, Ohio, or something like
Really?
that. I think so. Does that sound right?
I don't have it. It was a great little tidbit. I was searching for it.
Bret and I were driving together a lot at the time, even though like the Kliq was, in effect, like that's the thing is like I never like thought about things like, okay, this is us and, you know, this is everybody else. Like I always still thought, you know, maybe naively or whatever, I always thought that we all still were friends regardless, you know. I think you could look at me and tell that I was like kind of maybe influenced by the Calgary style, even the way, you know, my dress, my costume and whatnot, my tights. I remember getting the word after the match with Owen at King of the Ring that I was going to have the match with Bret. And so we had a couple of weeks, you know, we were psyched up getting ready for this thing. And it was a big deal to Bret too, you know.
Did it deliver for you?
Fucking right. It delivered for both of us. I mean, to this day, like, well, it was ranked number 3 of all-time greatest matches on Raw.
Mm-hmm. What exchange do you have afterwards?
Well, we were still, you know, we were still driving together, so like, we were fucking mutual fans of each other. So, you know, it was just a continuation of, you know, mutual ass-kissing society afterwards, putting ourselves over. And I was just so fucking proud to have had that match, you know. And there was this kid that came, he was dying of cancer. and he came and he visited us beforehand. And I just remember that leaving quite an impression on me. It was like the first time I'd ever met like a Make-A-Wish.
You've had to do that often, I would imagine, right?
Throughout the years, yeah.
How do you, as a person, I guess putting wrestling aside from it, how do you reconcile this before you're about to get out and perform, or maybe you act like an asshole or do something when you have that kind of real life moment a half hour beforehand? Are you able to disassociate yourself so much that you don't walk away and cry in a bathroom stall somewhere?
No. I just, first of all, you have, like, okay, when somebody's, their last wish on this earth is to meet you, it's fucking, you can't, feel worthy of that, But who the fuck am I to say that I'm not worthy of it when that's this kid's last wish, So you suck it up. You try not to let fucking the kid see you cry, But I don't know. It's tough. I mean, obviously, it's tough for me just to talk about it, but it's just really.
How much time do you have to spend? You spend a few
Only
minutes?
a few minutes, unfortunately.
What are the things you say? Do you say
I
good
can't
luck?
even remember,
Do you say
man.
good luck?
No, because that's not the right thing to say, and there is no real right thing to say. I just remember this time this kid fucking. The parents said, like, doctor didn't want to let him come because, like, it would kill him. It's like, wait a minute, the kid's going to be dead in a couple of weeks anyways. Like, let him have his fucking wish. Fucking idiots.
The couple, the company begins featuring them because the strike is going on in July. On commentary, Vince McMahon refers to him as the best backstop in baseball. Jerry Lawler goes on to ask if he's a pitcher or a catcher.
Is he a graduate of the Terry Garvin School of Self-Defense?
Yeah, the Pat Patterson go behind. We can go all day. But talk about Lombardi and the gimmick and the repeated attempts to find some life for Steve.
Oh, Steve's a good guy,
Sure.
And he was fine in the ring. He wasn't great or anything like that, obviously, because, he would have went farther, but he was a hard worker. That gimmick was easy. I enjoyed working with him. I knew it wasn't going to be money, but I knew I wasn't going to get hurt, and I knew we were going to have a decent match. And have a little fun with it, see what he could do with the character. He did a little bit with it, it was obviously, he wasn't going to make any money with it, but. Very, very, very nice. Couldn't be a nicer guy in the industry, though.
What's is the difficulty?
Isn't that where you bury the guy afterward?
Yeah, that's
nice guy, but styles didn't mix that well.
Yeah.
Can't
adapt.
Yeah. I was fine with it, except the people weren't. Like, I could do that just fine. I'm a fucking wrestler.
Right.
But
he couldn't change his stuff.
Not so much. For being a great wrestler, he wasn't the best at chain wrestling.
Kevin said that he was calling the match and
he fucking pile drove Kevin
and called the sunset flip.
Yeah, and then pile drove him in the same match. Pittsfield, fucking Mass. The boys club, fucking in front of 700 people. Suck my fucking left testicle.
What's this? So then, why is Bob back in this angle and the heel turn?
I don't know, but okay, Bob was the former champion, and they have that obviously storyline wise and all of that. And
are they thinking that far ahead?
Vince maybe thinks that Bob Backlund's a name that's going to resonate like throughout the WWE or WWF, world or universe, whatever you want to call it. Because as far as Vince is concerned, Bob was in his world a big deal. It's like Bruno.
But is he that out of touch to or maybe the boys aren't communicating?
And maybe it's just that was a good. That spoke to the lack of depth of talent.
Right. But nice guy.
Yeah, great guy.
Great guy.
Yeah, and I used to have matches with him. Like, he'd just run around and do that goofy shit for fucking 10 minutes, and the people would go crazy. We wouldn't even touch. He'd come in the ring, we'd go right home.
Do you remember anything like this?
I don't. That's crazy, because you would think.
Well, the next day's tapings were going to happen in Youngstown, so they sent the ring there, but they forgot to stop for the card in Johnstown.
That's fucking terrible. Can you even imagine something like that happening
Would you
nowadays?
get paid for something like that? You
A little
showed up.
something, yeah.
Is Bruce a little crazy?
Yeah, and he was definitely going into business for himself out there. Yeah, because I remember that just being the talk of maybe not the whole locker room, but amongst certain people. Like, I remember talking to Bret about it. Like, Bret was aware,
Did Bret
about how his brothers were.
Did Bret warn anyone that
Yeah,
maybe
of course
this
he
isn't a
did.
good idea?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you were going to get what you're going to get out of that. I mean, especially like with Stu involved and Lawler's fucking shots at Stu. I mean, that got Bret really pissed,
Really?
Fucking right. Yeah.
So none
Ask
of that...
Lawler about eating his own fucking foot in the Survivor Series. When he had the match with Bret.
Right, yeah.
He fucking kissed his own foot and then some.
So none of it's discussed beforehand that
No.
Jerry's going to say this about Stu and...
No,
Bad
and if
idea.
so, like, it was, Bret, Bret didn't take too kindly to, regardless, he wasn't afraid to use something in a storyline, but still be legit pissed about it,
So from a business standpoint, he understands that it
Yeah,
worked,
and he
but
put
was
that
still
fucking
offended.
sharpshooter on Lawler and just slowly, just next, cinch it in slowly and slower and slower, and finally fucking, before Lawler knew it, he was bent in half,
Did Lawler know what that was all about?
He fucking figured it out, I think.
Was he ever seen as a worker
No.
by anybody?
No, he was like a nice guy and everything, but
There it is.
it's terrible. It's terrible. I don't. You want to try to look for like the best in people, but like as far as Mike was a good guy outside the ring, but number one, you didn't want to have your tryout match with him because he has no fucking vested interest in you getting a job whatsoever. So that's why I didn't understand.
Would they put someone like
Fuck
that
yeah,
with a?
with a guy getting his tryout? Yeah, yeah.
Well, were you aware that he was a producer?
Now that you mention it, like I remember him saying something about it.
Right. Well, he would.
Of course he would.
Do you like?
Do I like Scotty?
Yeah.
Oh God, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that doesn't take away from the fact that he's still Scotty Levy.
Right. Yeah.
But I've known him fuck.
Was he
since I was
always
15 years
as
old, 14 years
tedious
old.
as he is now?
Always.
Yes.
Ever since the day I met him.
A lot to be around.
Fucking right.
Good worker though.
Yeah. Smart worker.
Right.
I used to like have issue with sometimes him like tanking it a little bit, but it wasn't him tanking it so much as him not wanting to take certain bumps.
Is he someone who might have been better suited for the behind the camera as opposed to?
I don't know, because like you've got a lot of people are big fans of his interview style and stuff like that. So
Right.
no doubt about it, Scotty's a brilliant guy. He just rubs certain people the wrong way,
Does Shawn have a short fuse?
Yeah. Especially then when when we're in the middle of being on the road a lot and being on drugs. and alcohol.
Shawn's mouth often got him into predicaments. Would you guys sometimes find yourselves bearing the brunt of that because of Shawn's mouth? Either whether it was
Either way, you know.
a decision from the office.
Take the good with the bad, you know.
Because you gained a lot from it.
Sure. It just is what it was, you know. I mean, it wasn't like we calculated all, you know, like everything out. Like, we were just guys that loved wrestling and fucking, we were trying to make the best of it. You know that's said a lot, but I mean, I don't think I don't think people are understanding that. Like, we really weren't out to fucking, we didn't have this conspiracy to, you know, run everything and, you know.
Would all the members
We just were trying to do the best for the company.
Would all the members of the Kliq agree with that?
Maybe not. Maybe I'm just naive, you know. I had herniated disc at the time, but it wasn't broken yet.
So you were just aggravating the already herniated disc?
Yeah, because that ring was so hard, man.
Yeah.
That was the hardest fucking ring. I mean, you know, we're working 300 days a year on that fucking ring, man. That was one of my things in my contract when I came back to work, that they were getting all new rings.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Were they were hard to sustain the blows from the really heavy guys?
No, just I'm taking a fucking flat back on that thing, man.
I'm saying, why did they make them so hard?
Because for the big guys in the past, and they didn't work the style like we're working on higher end style than they were.
WCW's rings were more friendly?
Yeah. Shorter ropes. I mean, actually, very much southern flavor to the company as far as the rings were made. Like, northern rings are made out of steel, and, you know, the southern rings are lumber, made out of lumber.
Cable ropes or rope ropes?
Southern rings were cable ropes, which is better for the guys doing the tricks. And the northern rings, like Vern's and Vince's, had the hemp rope.
Which is better for hitting the ropes?
I don't know.
Or you don't find the difference?
No.
It seems strange booking them having to win the belts before SummerSlam when they're not going to be in a tag
title match?
Yeah. Was this their idea? Like, what? From a booking standpoint, it doesn't make sense, but there had to be a reason.
Vince didn't want to stick. Like, you know, now everything is a group or a clique or a faction. Back then, Vince didn't want any of that. He didn't want to take big name guys and stick them all together and just be one act on the show. You know what I mean? Coming from his point of view, that's a lot of money just for one match on the lineup. It was just a different way of looking at it. You know, he was dead set against all that group stuff, you know?
Talk about Walter Payton, and was he a wrestling fan?
Yeah. He was just a really cool guy. His son was really cool. I don't know, you know, what can you say about one of the greatest football players ever? And in Chicago, you know, I remember him fucking just looking at Shawn outside the ring and making a step towards him, and the place would erupt. And it was like, keep going, you know, and he didn't have the instinct. But you know, I mean, he was getting a taste of it, and he was digging it.
How much are they given? When I say they, I mean a celebrity who's going to be a corner man or anything. As far as you can hit this guy or don't, or threaten him, like, how much are they given beforehand, or is it all instinct that they got to figure out?
It's mostly when you're dealing with an outside guy, you want it.
These are the rules.
This is how it's going to go. Just make sure that there's no fucking confusion.
Right.
You know, and when you're dealing with outside guys, getting involved in matches, whether they're in the match or on the floor or whatever, like, you want to keep things as basic, as simple as possible. I gave him a ride side of the building that night. He was so fucking jacked up, dude. He was so gassed to the gills, and everybody else was pretty clean.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, with this new image and the steroid testing and stuff, how does anyone expect this is going to work out?
And I remember Bret I remember him not being too fond of Davey coming in.
Why?
I'm not sure. Maybe he thought Davey was going to, encroach on his reign.
So it was wrestling related, not family related, the
more or less
strain?
Maybe, probably.
Why did it suck so much?
Well, number one, they were the main event, and Bret and Owen went out there and purposely took as much fucking time as they wanted, and too bad. That was the mentality. Bret told me that himself.
Beforehand, that we're going to stay out there and...
Or, and afterwards, we're going to take how much time we fucking need. Because as far as he was concerned, he was the co-main event. So basically, they took as much time as they wanted, left them with shit to work with. So how was that ever going to fucking work?
Was any of the flaw the conceptual booking of this kind of thing?
Yeah, some of it. But it's kind of hard to put it all in that, considering, you had the Bret Owen to the equation.
Right.
That happened a lot. Guys would, go take time and fuck the other guy.
Some of your friends did that a lot, yeah.
Yeah.
Brian Lee, how come he's not kept and repackaged as anything? Is he blamed for this in a way?
Maybe, and I think he was just fucked up a lot.
Fucked up meaning injured, or fucked up on
inebriated?
Other stuff, right.
Mind you, it's like, you're in the land of people being fucked up, so he's got to be fairly fucking, he's got to stick out like pretty good if you're, coming to the attention of the higher ups.
Oh, so you've got you got to up your game so much that now is Taker? This is his friend. Does he make any attempt to get him to stay or to be kept?
I don't recollect it.
Yeah. In September, a weird thing starts to happen with syndicated television starting to take a different turn. NFL lands on Fox, so now Fox's weekend lineup has the NFL, so it's going to naturally, I guess, attribute a little bit of less time to wrestling. So now, when we lost the weekly squash card, where our superstars could shine and we can get people to the arena, what did we lose from a business standpoint?
Honestly, I don't think much, except for fucking syndicated, TV money. Other than that, I don't, they thought that they couldn't run a town unless they had syndicated TV in the market. Ended up being fucking wrong.
But what about the traditional format of the syndicated card where you had
with all the squash matches?
Yeah.
It's done with, pretty much. I mean, they try to hold on to it as much as possible, but when the competition is throwing out pay-per-views for fucking, their regular TV shows, you kind of got to match, don't you?
But in a way, do we give away too much when we have all of our stars on the weekly shows? And
maybe not.
Nature of the business now kind of thing?
Yeah.
On September 1st.
Obviously not, because you're giving it away, but people are still coming because the product's so fucking hot. At least when it got hot,
But at no time do you guys say, well, wait a minute, we're not going to be able to go over every week on our squashes. How are we going to build?
I never thought of it
to the
that
pay-per-views,
way.
No? Okay.
No. I was in, I forget what cities we were in, it was a Midwestern loop or something, but I had gotten word that he was, really a touch and go, and so I called, and yeah, that was the situation. I called the office. I said, I need to go home. I need to go. My teacher's dying, and I got to get home and see him before he dies. And J.J. Dillon told me, we need you to stay on the road. Like, they really fucking needed me to stay on the road. And after the fact, when I got home, I was supposed to go home and get right on a plane, and my wife told me he was gone, and I called J.J. and I said, you know what? Fuck this bullshit. I said, it's not fucking worth it.
So you weren't able to get home before he passed?
No. I was like, fuck you,
Did they let you go for the
and then
arrangements,
JJ
the
told me,
funeral?
yeah, that's, and Randy Savage was a really good friend of me at the time, and he understood what I was going through, and he came and he picked me up from the airport, we went to the funeral together.
JJ was the point guy if you needed to do something.
He was
like
the head
that,
of talent relations, yeah, and he ran it very much Johnny Laurinaitis style. I guess he felt like they had to beat us down into submission,
And this is nothing you could go around him and say, Vince.
Oh, I did afterwards, but I didn't realize I could.
Before.
You don't, I'm new. I'm still fairly new to going in to do battle with the fucking office,
I've never been trained as a wrestler, so I want you to tell me what having a mentor like this means to you as a successful wrestler.
It's, there's going to, there's guys that are going to be, they're going to do well no matter what, because they just have it, but still, like, the training and the teaching and the wisdom from a guy like that, you really learn how to wrestle. These aren't just fucking fake wrestling moves. Pro wrestling is a legitimate fucking, catch wrestling. It's a legitimate fucking, martial art, if you want to put it that way. And he taught us how to really wrestle. And he also did his best to teach us the psychology as much as we could comprehend at the time. And I always was around Larry every day. I wasn't just around him when we were at school, because I did all the flyers and shit on the computer. I made the tickets, and I was basically helped him promote the shows too, because I never had money to pay to go to wrestling school, so I worked it off that way. And I used to stay in the ring the whole day and just go in there with one guy after another, and so I had an amazing amount of fucking experience in the ring technically, My technique was very sharp. To this day, it's pretty sharp. And I attribute that to Malenko.
Is he someone that you would call for business advice after you were working in New York?
Sure. Yeah.
What do I do here? Or what do you think of this guy?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was I remember calling him one time because, he had told me about Strongbow, and Strongbow was like, he had this fucking manner about him, and he'd go, Taylor, what's my real name? He asked me one time. I said, Joe Scarpa. I said, nope. I bet you can't find out either. So I went and asked Malenko, and he told me, it's Luke. So next TV, I said, hey, Luke, Taylor, who told you that? And I told him, and he was like, okay. It's not that great a story, but...
So where did Joe Scarpa come? Because that's the name that everybody knows.
His actual real first name is Luke, yeah.
Okay. Well, that was a nice tribute to Larry.
Thank you for letting me talk about him.
No, I'm glad you did.
I wouldn't be here without him. Or Phyllis Lee.
Well, who else in wrestling would be sitting here saying this to me about Boris?
That that you wouldn't.
Yeah.
These days, like Kane. I tell you who. Terry Funk said he was the greatest interview he'd ever heard, greatest promo guy he'd ever heard.
But as a trainer, as a teacher.
Yeah, everybody that was taught by him. Bill Eadie, that superstar, said he taught him a ton. I mean, even Steamboat told me at one time he taught him a lot. That's when you really learned. Like, I wish that I would have gotten to work with him in the ring, because that was my, like, what he did for other guys, that was kind of what I did later on. You know, he taught guys in the ring.
Right. The guys older than you that got to,
yeah.
She writes a letter that states, since steroids became illegal in 1991, the WWF has carried out a strict drug, steroid testing, and enforcement policy. In spite of this, federal grand jury handed down 6-count indictment against the company for possession and distribution. The judge dismissed 5 of the counts, while the jury still returned a not guilty verdict on the 6th. Linda, first, let me take Linda. Her role in the company at the time is very active with the boys, or it's strictly an office?
More or less just office.
Right.
Yeah, and I believe she was head of legal or something. Yeah, she's an attorney. And I think at that point she was kind of in that department or something. But anyway, what were you?
Various attempts have been made to clean their image. WWF has kind of gone through this through the years. And it's a stain that they just seem can never wash off. And maybe just because it's inherent in wrestling.
Yeah.
Is it a dirty business? Is it
Generally,
the bastard child of entertainment?
Yeah. I mean, you asked me a question. Do you want me to elaborate?
Yeah.
It's just always going to be looked at as lowbrow by a certain, you know.
Do you ever feel
type.
that way about what you did?
Yeah, maybe here and there.
Whether in the company of others and go, oh, I'm the wrestler in the group, or
yeah,
guys in Hollywood.
Once we started the NWO DX era, I wasn't fucking embarrassed anymore.
Right. Well, what was it? Just the level
we were
of popularity?
the fucking coolest motherfuckers on television, that's what. It was the fucking greatest, man.
The end justifies the means.
Yeah. I honestly, like, yeah, I understand both sides of that. Like, one, you know, the outsiders looking in, and I understand the frustration that Linda and Vince had, you know? It's like, what the fuck, you know? So we get tried by a jury of our peers and found, you know, not guilty. And some people like to go, not guilty doesn't mean innocent. Yet, when we're talking about somebody beforehand, they're innocent until proven guilty, right? So obviously, innocent and not guilty are equal to each other.
Right. But my thing is, if it was like the NFL, that TV guide would never even take a chance writing something slanderous like that.
Right.
After they
especially, I mean, and considering the fact that like every fucking major sport has this dirty secret. Every fucking one of them.
Mm-hmm. There's no way to clean up professional sports as far as performance enhancing when your pay is directly dependent on your performance as an athlete.
That's right.
Is that safe to say?
It's safe to say, and that's just. I'm sorry to those of you that like want to live in this fucking fantasy world. Sorry, like anytime there's money involved in sports, there's going to be cheating.
Right.
And I mean, it's just that's just how the playing field. That's like when you're talking about Lance Armstrong. Yeah, he's a dick. That's why he got fucking. That's why he went down. Because everybody's doing the same shit. You know, they're not as successful. And if it wasn't for the fact that he was such a dick, I don't think he'd ever gotten fucking taken down. Because he's doing too much for, you know, with the
Live Strong.
Yeah, Live Strong Foundation, all that. Yeah, I had the beads and the lava.
How were you guys not laughing throughout the entire match?
Because we're in there with our friends.
Right.
Me and Junior against my, you know, Kevin and Scott, or Shawn.
Yeah. But I'm saying it must have been a very
it was great.
Comical night.
Yeah, but people, they didn't laugh at it. They fucking popped. They bought it, man. Like I went and did the Jimmy Snuka. They got it. Like,
right, yeah.
Yeah, I'm a
But
kid.
with
I
each
could get away
other,
with
when
shit,
I'm
you
saying everybody, I mean the other guys. You must have
know?
been
It was
having
funny.
a great time.
It was fun, and you know, we could do that. Other guys could go out there and open the matches, and they would be chastised for fucking off out there. But when we did it, it was different.
Did anyone tell you to dress up?
No, I did that on my own. Nobody has to tell me shit.
Where's the stuff? His stuff was just around?
I already had a lava lava.
Why? And why don't things work out with him being a main eventer again in 1994? Is it just...
It's brutal.
Yeah.
You know, it was. He is one of those things that kind of should have been left to memory.
Right.
I don't mean to be a dick, but like, I mean,
Nice guy.
yeah,
Really? Okay.
big loud mouth bowling alley motherfucker. You know, cracking jokes on everybody. I thought he was funny. You know, but like he was a mark.
But does he think he's going to get a run?
Yeah. He didn't want to do a sharpshooter finish with Bret. I've never given up, and I don't really want to start now. I was like, well, fuck you then. Like, let's put somebody else in the main event. Give him that payoff. I remember he got fucking Visine in his water bottle that night.
Who would have done something like
I
that?
have no fucking clue. I don't even know how I would know about something like that.
Is this the reason why he's gone so quickly after, probably, that he's not getting along with everybody?
It's not that he's not getting along with it, it's just not producing.
Right.
And I remember us telling him, hey, why don't you do the 5 count? This is how much fucking respect he had at the point, right? He goes out, yeah. He's like, tells the ref 5, and the fucking ref looks at him like, fuck off. Ref didn't even know what the 5 deal was about, you know?
Is this a Kevin Dunn
I don't know if that was
directive?
Vince or Kevin, but like, yeah, they were definitely looking for the Todd Pettengill type guy.
Right. Talk about Dunn's role through the years in the company since you've been. He's a kind of a top of the pecking order.
Fucking
right
very
now.
top.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Noticeable in 1994.
most of the talent don't even understand that because most talent aren't high enough to even deal with him directly.
Oh, well, okay. Well, there's a good point. What is he doing? What are his
He's making us
responsibilities?
fucking look like fucking stars out there.
By
The best. He's the best fucking.
are the
producer in
angles
television.
that are to be shot his idea?
I think so.
Sean
Talking about
Sean
the
looks great
crowd
when
shots?
he comes off here.
Or-
No, but like shooting you guys a certain way. Like Sean's
Yeah,
finish is great. Make sure you're here
absolutely.
for his.
Well, a lot of those ours too, saying, "Hey, this is what we're doing," and just to smarten them up, so they know.
Going
what's
to a
coming.
cameraman?
Yeah.
Okay.
We directed ourselves.
Gotcha.
Fucking move up, like Scott. Fucking move up, or somebody'd fuck up, because you're working with job guys every night, right? So, chances are you're gonna get a shitty one every now and then. And Scott, if the guy would fuck up, Scott would just look at the camera and go, take 2, and just fucking do the exact same thing again.
So
they
they
got it
know
right.
to edit it.
Yeah, give them an editing point and everything.
Wow. What about the vignettes? Kevin Dunn also.
Hard to say.
Well, I mean, the creative would be whoever was booking or writing, but is he in there involved? With...
He's not hands-on producing it, like
Okay. He's in the truck?
in the truck. Yeah.
Talk about Jock. Is he a guy you got along with?
Yeah, I got along with him. A lot of guys didn't, though.
Right. Why? Was it their
'Cause
problem, or was he sometimes...
A little of both.
Yeah.
A little of both. Like, at that point in his career, he wasn't going to go out there and kill himself. That's what he had Carl for. So they shared an unequal burden as far as the workload they carried in the ring. You know, which is fine. That's what the young guy's for.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know.
Now, he'd return to the ring with Pierre in WCW.
It's just like whenever we'd be in Canada, the motherfucker would grow wings and be able to fucking do drop kicks off the top, planches to the fucking floor, and come back to the States, have fucking feet be nailed to the floor. Give him a backdrop, he lands beside you.
Was there a French-Canadian Kliq also?
Sort of. They tried to be.
Well, with Pat and them, they kind of look out for each other. Right?
Try to.
Was he talented?
Fine. Yeah, it was nothing. You know what I mean? Because everybody, when somebody dies, they want to fucking hold him in high reverence, and he was a great guy. But he was just a move guy. He didn't have and I guess, you know, here's the thing. A person a lot of times doesn't realize they don't know because they don't know yet. You know what I mean? Like, you don't realize you don't know until you fucking finally figure it out. And then you go, oh my God, boy, was I ever fucking clueless at that point, you know? So,
personality wasn't there. Couldn't talk you into the building.
It wasn't going to really get a fair look.
You knew that from the beginning?
It wasn't his place. He was brought in to do a job, not fucking get a tryout.
Of the three, who'd you enjoy working with the most?
Scott.
Because?
Because he was the best. At being the foundation of a match. Shawn got as good as he is by working with Scott. Everybody got as good as they were by working with Scott. Whether it was me, Hunter, Shawn, fucking Jeff Jarrett, anybody that ever worked with Scott was better on the fucking other end than when they started.
What was it? If we had to build it in a laboratory, what are we putting in?
You can't. It's fucking unobtainium.
Is he calling matches too? I mean,
yeah, directing traffic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
When the four of you are out there like that, is there any? Kevin talked about his big match with Shawn on the pay-per-view, where he knew that Shawn was going to try and blow him up real quick and try and get the friendly competition,
sure.
Not to shit on each other. But so when you guys do get together, are you expecting a little bit of that stuff? Like, what's he going to try? No.
No. Maybe they were thinking that, but I wasn't.
Right. Okay.
I didn't care. Just pass me the ball.
Do you remember why she's let go? Is it an altercation, or is this
I
just...
think it had maybe substance issues. Where were you going to go with that?
Just what happened.
I don't recall, except for bless her heart. She has so many conditions, mental conditions, like you name it, and she probably had it, dissociative identity disorder, fucking bipolar. She was on some heavy antipsychotic meds. Bro, I remember Kev took one of her fucking Elevilles, they're called, and he was fucking passed out, man, like right up against this speaker in this club, and this fucking, you can see the bass hitting him, right? And he's fucking out cold, right? We're in Israel. And that was like just one of these little pills she had, and it didn't do shit to her, but it knocked everybody else on their ass.
It's reported that a lot of the wrestlers and personnel are shocked legitimately that this has happened. Tell me about the circumstances there when Randy goes.
I only remember just being like, wow, because right prior to that, it was basically let known by Vince prior to that this is our Babe Ruth. Hogan left and this guy, Warrior, fuck all these guys. Mach is my fucking Babe Ruth. He was the commentary. He was great. I thought he was great commentator. I remember taking a piss that day. It was me and Arnie and fucking Vince all taking a piss at the same time, and and Vince and I like throwing bathroom humor at each other, and fucking Arnie tries to jump in and makes a comment about Randy, and fucking Vince's face just turned like almost he went into tears. He wanted to fuck if it wouldn't have been if it would have been anybody but Arnie, like probably would have gotten fucking punched in the face or fired.
Is it known at this time that he's going to go to WCW?
Yeah. There's no other reason to leave.
Right.
You only leave if you're going somewhere else, usually.
Well, I don't know.
Usually.
Get out of the business for a while.
Yeah, but if you know Randy and how he was taught by his father, you never pass up a fucking paycheck.
Lanny said to us that what precipitated this was him wanting a match, and Vince, I guess, I don't say it's Vince, someone said to him, we're going young. And that's how it's going to be now. And he kind of went, oh, so I'm done. And then it was kind of like an I'll show them, and went over to... So was some of this engineered by their reluctance?
Maybe. Yeah. There's always two sides to a story, and, I don't think anybody's ever accused Randy Savage of not being an honorable man as far as, like, nobody's ever said, oh, fucking Randy, can't believe a word he says. Mm-hmm. Never heard that about him. So, and plus, some of that's just subjective.
Yes.
To a person's emotion. I mean, there's emotions involved.
On November 23rd.
Lanny fucking really he watched, the one I did, the U-shoot. And I think he saw the thing about me talking about him sucking his own dick. Because when I saw him later that night, he kept talking about that for some reason.
He talked about it with us as well.
He didn't mind it. No,
he did. He went right there. I asked him about his sexuality, and his quote was, "The only penis I've had in my mouth is my own." November 23rd. Doesn't use toilet paper also. I would just like to point that out.
He never set up his ass, did he?
Never did, actually. Matter of fact. Diesel as a babyface, is this something Kevin would have wanted?
Sure. It wasn't something thought about, but Vince, I think, knew it from Providence, maybe? From the Royal Rumble?
Again, letting the fans choose if they're cheering too much for a heel?
No, just him personally, his, opinion, I guess. I mean, it wasn't so... It was... He got goo-goo gaga eyes for Kevin.
Yeah.
So it didn't matter. It didn't matter what the fans thought at that point.
Or ram it down their throat, kind of. Right?
Yeah. He was that guy then. I remember fucking Vince bringing him out, to some, black tie gimmick, and he's got Kevin dressed up in this silver fucking shirtless tux. He looked like a fucking jabroni out of the circus. I remember he fucking felt like such a fool.
The Survivor Series match, when there's 8 of you, how much is decided beforehand of how long each fall has to be? I mean, you guys have to keep track of how 7 people are going to...
Yeah, when a lot of guys like to keep track a little better than others, like fucking Mach, he was Mr. Gotta have everything fucking mapped out.
Yes.
Mr. Detail guy, right? And fucking, had it all written down on paper. That's the kind of shit that, irked me a little bit. But that's Macho Man.
Right.
So There's an exception to the rule. Otherwise, like if Dallas Page brings you your match on fucking printed out on a piece of paper, you fucking, you know, rip them to shreds over it.
But are you expected to do that in a pay-per-view match like this, where there's going to be 8 of you and there's going to be a fair amount of traffic?
I don't think you're expected or not expected. I don't think the higher ups fucking really comprehended that all that well.
Really?
Honestly.
So you're kind of left to your own devices.
If you want it to be as good as possible, or you can follow the advice of the guy that fucking was known as Dean Ho or fucking so-and-so's tag team partner. Unless it's Pat Patterson telling me, hey, you should do this agent-wise, Jack Lands, Pat, Chief, otherwise fucking don't even, you know.
Well, those would be the guys that would have been doing it
guys.
at this time, right? Yeah.
Yeah, but there's Goulet, Gurria, George Steele, like, you know, I mean.
Okay, so within the agents, there was a hierarchy of...
Yeah. Especially at TV time.
Why would, you know, I keep going back to it. Anytime I hear a silly decision on WWF's part, Vince McMahon grew up in the business, okay, exposed to it from very young. Why would you hire an agent that can't put together a finish?
He doesn't know that. If you don't know, you don't know until you know.
But he wouldn't know that Sarge can't...
No. How the fuck would he? He's not a wrestler.
Other guys...
Yeah, but they don't know either.
Right.
A lot of those fucking guys just lucked out. Right. I'm sorry, man. I don't mean to sound like, you know...
Well, why is one chosen to be an agent? Why is Tony Gurria an agent? Why is Tony Gurria an agent?
Being...
honest? Like, what do you need in an agent that...
Loyal. Loyal guy. Could trust.
Right.
I mean, you know, it was just the guys that were still around, and, you know, you don't want to get rid of them. You don't want to fucking fire them, so you find a spot for them.
Does Kevin know how far this is going to go? Back in the day, they would say, well, we expect you to have this, you're going to win, you're going to beat Bob Backlund,
no, they
superstar, and you're going to have it for...
It was open-ended because they were hoping he was going to be the, you know, the next Hogan or Warrior. Which he wasn't. He was the original Kevin Nash, which is fucking pretty cool, too. You don't got to be the next whatever. That's a kiss of death. Anytime somebody's like the new so-and-so, they're fucking dead in the water. The new Midnight Express... You know, shit like that. Oh, you're fucking so dead in the water.
Why the 8 seconds?
Because the match would have been fucking rotten otherwise.
No other way to do it.
No other way to do it.
And Bob would agree to an 8-second match. Again, Bob just seems to be a guy that might be resistant to
And
that.
he sold that fucking thing. I mean, he's still selling it. He's still selling Kev's finish from the fucking Night in the Garden.
A consummate professional.
He put me over in the Garden, Bob did. After all the matches I had with him.
Clean?
Yeah. Fucking, that's what kind of guy Bob is, right? Like, he's like, all these matches I had with him, he was like, one day I'd like to return the favor. And, you know, you listen to that, and it's very nice coming from, you know, somebody that's higher up than you, you know, that you look up to. And you just go, you know, you assume he's just playing lip service, but we're in the Garden, and he goes up to Vince, and he goes, I want to put the kid over tonight.
Wow, on his own.
Yeah, in the Garden. With the rolling reverse, counter roll.
What's in the bucket?
Oh, depends on fucking night, dude. It depends on who's getting it.
Do you have any say on what's in the bucket ever?
Sure. I got to say on what I fucking put in there.
That's where I'm going. What's supposed to be in the bucket? Do they just
some oatmeal and different lettuce?
Yeah, I said it looked like oatmeal and shit, but
it was basically what slop they would give to pigs.
Right.
Because you know Mark was a pig farmer at one time.
Now, if someone's in the ring,
you know, and they leave the fucking bucket there and go, "Don't anybody put anything in this bucket."
Right.
You know.
So he was a willing.
Sure.
what's the word I'm looking for?
Yeah,
Participant.
Yeah, but with plausible deniability.
Correct.
At the same time.
Very, very correct. Who would have gotten an extra ingredient?
I know,
time?
honestly, I know one time that people were lining up was Sonny.
Lining up?
Yeah, to add to fucking, contribute to the slot bucket.
And did.
I have no idea what people, you could use your fucking imagination.
Right.
I don't think I didn't add to the recipe that night.
You didn't do that night, okay. How long does it take to do the tattoos? What are they?
They're stencil, you.
Okay, so he puts the stencil on and does a. Real words, letters.
I imagine.
Yeah. How long? I mean, it's got to be an hour,
hour
and a half.
Very painstaking.
Every night.
No, house shows he wouldn't.
Oh, okay.
Big Madison Square Garden, Anaheim.
Right.
Yeah, but if you were in fucking, Dayton, Ohio, you were getting fucking smudgy, fucking Kushi. Coming to the ring by fucking Akio Sato.
Did you do anything to contribute to his getting the job there?
I had his fucking match in Japan.
That's what I was going to say.
Gave him the fucking.
Right. That's what I was going to say. So that did it for him?
Mm-hmm. By the time the Japan tour was over, Bret was wanting to work with him. Taker had already had a match with him. Came out with fucking Taker's head on a stick to the ring. Got a hell of a reaction.
Mm.
Taker gave him some good offense and beat him.
I'd like to point out that your offensive rating on the game for strength is a 4, while Luna Vachon's is a 6. Are you offended by this?
No. I had no idea. Fuck, if I would have just known back then, I might have fucking sent me in a whole different direction.
I was going to say, in negotiation, it could have come up. Talk about the money associated with video games then. Today, it's a big deal.
I don't remember.
This is like Super Nintendo, I guess, was the big, or Genesis, Sega Genesis.
Yeah.
Is there a big extra check for you guys for this? If you appear in a video game?
Yeah, but I don't remember any huge video game money coming until I got to WCW and got like a $50,000 quarterly check or something.
Right.
My first run WWF was not stellar marketing-wise, as far as.
I think you were in it, though. Yeah, you were.
Yeah, I was
in there.
I was in the game, but I didn't have great swag. I didn't have good T-shirts or
right.
merchandise.
Is Jerry a guy that you would have put on the Sarge, Gurria, Animal,
No.
or on that other side?
In the middle, kind of. More on the other side.
A guy you got along with?
Great, yeah.
The term stooge, it's
the worst fucking name you could be called inside the industry. Used to be.
But are they supposed to be one of the boys at this point?
No, but that was on air. Like, nobody was going around like fucking stooge. Nothing like that.
That was never an industry term?
No, it was more like the fucking three. Yeah, but they were using it like, Pat and Jerry, the Stooges.
Yeah.
More like the Three Stooges.
Just as a character.
Yeah, because, honestly, outside of the industry, people don't know stooge means telling on somebody.
Mm. No, but within the business,
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard for the agent. If
You
you
can't
made an agent,
it's hard to have your foot on
both sides.
Yeah.
Mm. Are you told this expressly by Vince or an agent maybe?
In a group setting. So nobody was singled out.
If anybody is found talking with the other side, you're gone.
I don't recollect those words being used because that would have been. He would have opened himself up for litigation.
Having said this,
not that he was really too worried about it.
Were people still talking to people on the other side?
I don't know. I wasn't.
No.
No. Nope.
Nobody maintained a relationship with like Macho and were like, well, how are things over there?
If they did, they kept it on the down low.
Really?
Yeah. Like I said with Lanza and Heenan, I just remember Lanza being like kind of heartbroken,
About the Bobby Heenan situation, yeah. She eventually goes on to get a reputation for herself of not being the most popular person. Is this evident up front, or is this a gradual occurrence?
Gradual, I think. Because, coming in the door, I think most of the guys were just worried about getting in their pants.
Right. A sense of entitlement there on her part?
I don't know about that, but maybe just taking advantage of the situation. Opportunist.
Just taking advantage of the situation in that, was she getting special treatment?
Maybe.
From the company?
I don't know. Maybe from one of the boys, but like...
Well, we know that, but I'm talking about management. Is she getting I know she's getting first-class tickets and nobody else is at one point, right?
I don't recollect that. Not while I was
Anyone
there.
closer to her here that might confirm that? She'd be given...
Not while I was there.
No? Okay. Be able to sit in on creative production meetings. So you guys weren't seeing any of that?
Doesn't mean it didn't happen.
No, I know.
I guarantee you she wasn't being flown first class around with the other crew because you would have fucking had a fucking mutiny on the Bounty.
I think what she said was that she would be up there and then she would choose who she would want to
take her seat up front.
Yeah, bring up to yeah.
Which was very smart on her part. And probably suggested to her by one of the other boys. That didn't just go with her. When I first got there, and guys got on the plane and saw me sitting first class for one reason or another. It was, and then I'd go get Fuji or somebody and switch seats with them.
Smart business, huh?
Yeah, it's the right thing to do, too.
Right. Talk about the company's view of UFC at this time. Is it even on the radar? It's certainly not.
Yeah, sort of. Because only because really, like UFC, if you think about it, like it derived from wrestling. Come on.
Sure. But
even
at that
Brazilian
time, it was
Jiu-Jitsu,
still
like guys, like years ago, they went to Wigan to fucking learn a lot of the submissions they use. Because you won't find them in Japanese Jiu-Jitsu.
Was this Charles who was a fan of it, being out in Las Vegas and stuff, or
I think it was, yeah, sort of, and Taker.
Right.
Yeah. I wasn't. It wasn't. I didn't like the gimmick. I liked the Papa Shango gimmick way better.
Right. I think he did cool. Too.
Yeah. But he's trying something different. You can't fucking knock a guy for that. And was trying to at least do something that was relevant.
Finally, at the end of 1994, what is starting to happen is, because of the result of everything we've talked about with the lawsuits and everything, they're stripping down business to meet where the demands are. You're working some high school gymnasiums now in the Northeast, and it's coming across almost like a minor league look on
TV.
Raw.
Yeah, from fucking Liberty, New York. Raw, and you could fucking look a hard camera shot and see what fucking time it was. And the fucking basketball hoops. I never want to see fucking lowered basketball hoops on a fucking wrestling TV show. If you gotta tape it in the gym, fucking raise the basketball hoops. Cover the fucking clock up.
What else is happening as far as scaling down? Like, is catering changing?
Yeah, obviously else you wouldn't be asking. Yeah, catering.
I want you to say it.
I know.
No one's going to pay to listen to me.
Yeah, right. Sorry. I thought we were just having a regular conversation here for a
Sometimes it
second.
feels like that. But what does catering look like at TV now?
Kind of like TNA's when they first started.
Sandwiches.
Yeah.
Got some cold cuts.
Yeah, which honestly, like, that was the least of my concerns, at that point. Yeah, fine. If you got to cut catering or whatever, I'll bring my own fucking food.
Are you being asked to do more for less?
Yeah. Yeah.
Is it an angry locker room at the end of 1994?
If it wasn't angry, it was disgruntled for sure. Totally, yeah.
Well, I thank you for putting some of those long-standing rumors, either confirming or putting them to rest for us about 2004. Thank you for coming clean about the slop bucket, for God's sakes.
I want to, I feel like I'm
1994.
fucking not giving you enough here.
You gave me 2 hours and 45 minutes? 41 minutes?
Oh, wow.
So thank you for your journey
it's always a pleasure,
back
Sean.
in time. And thank you.
That's the only reason I still do these with you is because I fucking really enjoy it. I get a lot out of it. Thanks.
You're a good guy.